p.m., but I'll
Oh, there
get
you
started.
go.
Welcome everyone to the second Meet the Teachers session for our 2026 Minnesota Quilt Show. I'm just quickly going to do an introduction and go over how we'll handle the sessions. Um, I'll introduce the teachers quickly. I'll let them introduce themselves, but as we go along, and if we could, everyone could mute themselves while the teachers are presenting, and save questions until after they're done or put them in the chat. So at the end of each teacher's presentation, we'll open it up for questions. You can unmute yourself and ask questions, or if they're in the chat, I will call them out. Basically, there'll be presentations, Q&A, and final wrap up. So that is the story, and we're going to start out with Julia, so I will turn it over to her. Welcome, Julia. Julia is our keynote speaker, and we're very excited to have her.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Liz and Alex. I'm happy to be here. I'm very excited to be part of the Minnesota Quilt Show coming up in June. I will be teaching a handful of classes, giving a couple of lectures, and I will have a special exhibit. I specialize in working with upcycled textiles, in particular silk. I have a quick slideshow for you, which will be better than 1,000 words, as they say. So I live in California, but as you can tell from my accent, I'm English originally, but I've been in America since 1992. So I'm looking forward to coming halfway across the country to a state I have not yet visited. Happy to be coming to Minnesota. The first workshop to mention would be piecing the pineapple, which is a very conventional, I love traditional blocks. This is a fabric foundation pieced pineapple block. And I will be bringing you the very, very lightweight foundations for you to use. A foundation gives any kind of fabric accuracy and stability when you use it. And so that's how we're going to build these blocks. And you can see on either side of this picture, the conventional way of piecing a pineapple. And then that spiral is a nifty kind of result that comes from alternating colors. And also when we go back to the camera, you can see that I've got these quilts hanging up behind me. Neckties, kimonos, saris, these are the things that I put into my quilts. Starting with silk is a classic, and as the name suggests, it gives you all the scoop you need to make that quilt from the thing I know you have, which is either a kimono or a bag of grandpa's neckties. Every quilter will raise their hand when I give a lecture and say, yep, that's me, I've got some, but how do I quilt with them? So this workshop shows you a technique for giving a kind of crazy pieced look, although we're not working with tiny pieces. It's a clever technique that just slices and reattaches. And then in the afternoon, we do fabric foundation piecing, this time the flying geese block, which is a nice three-seamed easy block. And we'll put them together in that composition that you see there. A half-day workshop is smithereens. As you can see, these are also neckties and shirts. This is a block that comes together. You could also bring a jelly roll. Any of my classes you could also take with your cotton stash. But this, as you can see, is good for anything that comes in long strips of fabric, and it comes together nice and fast. This is a sweet little workshop, a hand sewing class. I'll bring everything you need to make a small decoration, and having learned that technique, you can move on to make bigger projects. 3D EPP, meaning three-dimensional English paper piecing. The lecture on Saturday is called Rescue Me, all the things that I've done and more with upcycled fabric, whether it's blocks that somebody else made and didn't finish, clothing, upholstery remnants, kimonos and saris and wedding dresses and all those things. I am unafraid, I'm very scissor happy, and I have a lot of quilts to show you made from rescued materials. At the banquet on Friday evening, I'm looking forward to presenting Patchwork Luxe silk quilts through the ages. I will bring my own quilts to share and show slides of antique quilts talking about that particular era in the late 19th century when silk was just quite the craze. I'll have a special exhibit. You're going to be sick of me. A special exhibit on the exhibit floor of ghost quilts. These are quilts that I've been making most recently using um, old vintage quilts and then a sheer quilt top placed on top. So as you've seen throughout history, people have used old quilts as the batting for new ones. And this is a kind of play on that, so that the blocks of the old quilt still shadow through and tell us that they're there. But the sheer quilt on top tells a whole new story and also protects the old quilt if it's fraying, if it's got holes, if it's stained. It just gives it a new life. So ghost quilts, that will be my special exhibit. Come and see McLeod in St. Cloud. That's my message. I hope that you'll look up juliamcleodquilts.com. That's my website. And then go to Instagram. I'm a pretty lively poster, and Facebook too. If you can spell McLeod, MCLEOD, you'll get to find my site and my social media. So that was it, short and sweet. I hope that's given you a little idea of what I'll be bringing to St. Cloud, and I welcome any questions.
So Wendy, who is our president, has a question, and hers is, which pineapple quilt will you be making?
Oh, you can make whatever you want. So you'll notice behind me that this has the dark value in the stripes that run vertically and horizontally, whereas this has a light value in the vertical and horizontals. And then I put it away, but the spiral is a whole other story of value placement. So you can make whatever kind of pineapple block you want, and I'll be there to help you through it. All we have to cut is strips, and so it could also be scrappy.
Okay. So the same foundation will work for either of those, the foundation blocks you're bringing.
Yeah, this is the identical quilt, but the colors have just been switched around. The values, I should say.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of rather laborious fussy cutting here. I wouldn't recommend we do that for our very first time out of the gate. You can, I don't know if you can see exactly, but there's some slightly tortured fussy cutting, which don't do that on your first go.
I've got a question. So if you're a beginner sewer like me, silk seems a kind of scary type of material to be getting involved with.
Yeah.
How do your classes make it a less scary type of animal, and something that perhaps a beginner could tackle?
Oh, yeah, sure. Particularly starting with silk assumes that you haven't worked with silk before. It assumes you know how to work your sewing machine and you've maybe made a few traditional blocks. But we'll be working with fusible interfacing, with fabric foundations. I'll be talking about starch and ways that you can stiffen silk to make it more manageable. So I give you the whole ball of wax. Everything you ever wanted to know about working with silk, but were afraid to ask, as they say.
That's great. So anybody that's never had any experience with that would be the perfect class for them to take.
Newer quilters, but often I find that people who've been quilting for 10 years, but they've only ever used cotton, and they just shy away from more difficult fabrics.
If you're using, say, that bag of old ties of Grandpa's or whatever, is there much preparation work to do before class?
Yes,
that's what you're bringing?
The supply list indicates that. If you have neckties or garments, you should have unpicked them before you come to class. If they're dirty, then you can wash them. And there's guidance on my YouTube channel about that. And I think that's mentioned in the supply list too. We'll double check that before this all goes live.
I'm pretty sure it is. I just wanted to bring it up so people know. Yes.
Yeah. A little bit of prep will really help. But I'm also, even in a group of 24, I'm right there with a seam ripper. If you need help, I'll dive in and just get you started.
Obviously, it maximizes the time if people have that already done, and then they can get right to the interesting bit rather than the ripping stuff apart.
For sure.
Do we have any other questions for Julia?
There's something in the chat. Which pineapple? Oh, I see. There's Wendy's question. We answered that. I hope that helps.
I find it fascinating that the same pattern can create such different looking results.
That's quilting for you, right? I never get tired of it.
Yeah, the exact same foundation piece. That is very interesting.
It's the same book. Okay. Even a 9-patch. We can make those things look radically different depending on our color choices and our value placement.
Is the smithereens pattern, is that foundation piece too, or is that just randomly pieced?
No, so that relies on fusible interfacing, which we apply, and then we just continue as if we were working with cotton. You could bring cotton to the class. You could also bring a shirt and some neckties taken apart.
Uh-huh.
And then it doesn't take long just to iron on some fusible. But again, we will double check to make sure folks have got all the prep done before they come. I'll give
Okay.
instructions about that.
So speaking of that, shirts and ties, can you mix those two fabrics in
Totally.
one quilt?
Yeah, that's what this is here. A lot of
Oh,
blue chambray shirts and neckties. I often mix cotton with silk. It's nice to get that matte, shiny contrast.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I guess it also makes your precious silk supplies stretch a bit further too.
My silk supply is not precious, and yours shouldn't be either. I'm all about getting out the scissors. Don't be precious. Yeah, there's too much fabric in the world, and we should be the ones to cut it up.
Yes, I agree. I have to say that after I watched your lecture, I think it was it was a year ago, October. It was right after I had my knee surgery. I sat there because I could do nothing. I was on painkillers. I sat there ripping apart all these ties I had. So I'm all ready to take a class.
Excellent.
This will be your opportunity to sew them all back together again.
Yes, that's right.
The madness that is quilting, cutting
Yes.
things apart and sewing them back together.
But that's the fun.
Yep.
All right. Well, if anyone has other questions for Julia, just please put them in the chat and we'll get back to them.
And just, also find me on my website, on social media, and just throw out a question. I'm really accessible.
Right. And they can always send a question to faculty at MN Quilt or show director. We'll be happy to route them to you.
Absolutely. Yeah. There are no.
Won't be answering the technical questions. She'll be forwarding them to Julia.
Very good. I'm very looking forward to seeing everybody. Thank you for having me.
We are looking forward to having you too. And now I'm going to introduce Miriam Coffey, who is going to be going over the long arm classes that we had that both she and Kelly McKenzie will be teaching.
Hello, everyone. My name is Miriam Coffey. I'm an education specialist. And sorry, my cat is being very needy right now. I'm an education specialist at Jaymi America, and I'm going to be talking about all of the long-run classes, and that I will be teaching, as well as Kelly McKenzie. She is one of my coworkers, and we're going to be teaching all the long-arm classes on the Jaymi Quiltmaker Pro 20 with the Pro Stitcher as the computerized or the robotics system. So we're going to be doing 4 different classes, and I'm going to go over those. First one is Quilt As You Go. This is a really fun quilt to make. It's a baby quilt, and you're going to finish the whole thing in class. All you have to do is take it home and bind it. So it's a great way of kind of dipping your toe into long arming. You're going to be doing working with the Pro Stitcher program. This is also, there's only one person per machine. So the spots are probably going to fill up faster than some of the other classes because there's not as many spots. Because again, there's only one person per machine, which is really nice because then you get a lot of time with the machine and with the system. So this is basically the project that we're going to be doing. So I'm going to hold it up. So it's basically just a strip quilt, and you are going to quilt as you go. That's the name. So you're going to place the fabric down, stitch it out, flip it back, and then you just continue that process. So again, this is really good for anyone who is wanting to kind of dip their toe into long arming, who has a long arm and maybe wants to learn how to do quilt as you go. Because this is a fantastic, super fast baby quilt that you can do in a handful of hours, that, normally you wouldn't be able to do a baby quilt that fast. So this is a great project-based class that you're going to do. And then next will be a class that I'm teaching, which is Stitch Like a Pro, using the Pro Stitcher software program, which is the robotics of our machine. So again, if you have never ever used Pro Stitcher, this is a great class for you. If you have Pro Stitcher and want to get better at it, this is a great class. If you just want to know what long arming is about, and you want to know about the computer side of it, that this would be a great class for you, because this is going to be all done on the robotic system. Again, it's the Pro Stitcher system. And we're going to be doing a panel. There's going to be 2 people per machine. And this is sort of basically the kind of class or project that you're going to be doing. So we're going to be doing some edge to edge, some block designs, going over custom quilting. We're going to use mark, we're going to crop, we're going to rotate, we're going to change sizes. There's a lot that we're going to cover in this class, and you're going to take home a little panel like this. And then next we have long arming A to Z. Kelly will be teaching this class, and this is going to be all free motion. So no computerized. So if you either have a long arm and want to get better at it, or want to get better at free motion, or if you've never touched a long arm before and you want to learn how to use a long arm and what it takes to actually have a long arm, that's going to be the class for you. So it's going to be sort of half lecture education and half hands-on. Because we're going to be doing some free motion quilting, but then we're also going to learn all about the ins and outs of long arm quilting, like thread and tension and bobbins and how to load it, all these different things that we're going to go over, that will be part of the education side of it versus the hands-on, where we'll teach you how to do some simple shapes and how to combine them. So this is a great class if you've never done long arming, or if you just have questions about long arms. This is a great class. So this is sort of the project that we're going to be doing. There are going to be 2 people per machine. So you will have a buddy. But this is sort of what we're going to be doing. So you're going to learn some basic free motion skills, and then add on to them, for an example, the meander, and then we're switching the meander into a ribbon by just echoing it and crossing over the lines. So you can learn, sorry, my cat. So you can learn some different basic shapes that way. And then lastly, we have another class that I'll be teaching, which is all things pillows. This is another class where you're going to be on the machine by yourself. So it's 1 person per machine. And you're going to make 2 pillows. You're going to be able to take home both of those pillows. And they're all done in the, instead of it in the hoop, in the frame. So we're going to do a reverse applique pillow, where we're going to use the Pro Stitcher program or the robotic system to stitch out a design with layers of fabric. And then we're going to cut out the negative spaces to create different shapes. And you'll be able to pick that design from a handful of designs that we have. And then secondly, the pillow that you'll be making is a combination of free motion and robotics with couching. Couching is a really fun thing to do on the long arm. It's fun to do on, your domestic machine as well. But I really like doing it on the long arm because you can do it with robotics. You can do it with free motion. We're going to do a little bit of both so that you can really get the feel of it. So basically, we're going to use the computer to stitch out like a feather, and then we're going to fill it in with the couching with free motion. So it's a great time to kind of get some muscle memory with the long arm. So it's a really great way of kind of dipping your toe into long arms as well, but with the benefit of having 2 projects at the end, because everybody loves having a finished product. And that's what you're going to have 2 of them. So this is kind of an example. We're not going to be doing this exact same thing, but this is sort of an example of the couched pillow. This is sort of a minky fabric with a chenille thread or yarn. And then this is free motioned. And then I have a whole baby quilt here. That's, again, the double-sided Minky with a chenille yarn. And this was using the Pro Stitcher, using the robotics to stitch out this design. And it's a really fun class. And you're going to come home with 2 finished products, which is really fun. The only thing that you may have to do is with the reverse applique, we may not have time to cut out all of the shapes, especially depending on how detailed of a design you do and how much you want to cut out. But that's something you can cut out at home. I do recommend using duckbill scissors for that, but you can use really any scissors. Especially smaller ones are good to get into small little spaces. But that's about it. So does anybody have any questions?
I have a couple of questions on the Quilt as You Go class.
Yeah.
I know there's a little bit of prep. Students have to cut out their strips first. Can they use Minky?
Yeah, you probably could. I've never done the Quilt as You Go with the Minky, but I have quilted with Minky before. So yeah, I wouldn't see why not.
Okay. I was just when you said baby quilt, I was thinking, oh, Minky, and I don't know. And
Yeah.
will you be binding it too?
You won't be binding it. So you just have to take that home and bind it when you get home.
Okay.
Because we're not going to have a room full of machines as well. It's just going to be long arms. So it's just going to be the top, the whole sandwich.
The sandwich. Okay, but you're not going to apply the binding on the long arm. Okay.
No.
Okay. I think that was all I had. Alex, any questions?
Oh, my mind's still blown by all the clever tricks that you can do on a long arm.
Yes.
So I'm
Yeah,
going to
the long
start
arm
to
is
silence over here.
Yeah, the long arm is like, obviously you can quilt a quilt, but you can do so much more with it than a lot of people realize that you can do, which is something that I really love. I love when things are versatile or multi-purpose. Like, it's really nice to be able to piece your project on the long arm or as well as quilt it. So I think or using the couching, it's a really great way of, especially because long arms are expensive, you can get more bang for your buck with it by being able to do a lot of different things with it, which is great.
Yeah, I can see if you were planning to think about the possibility of buying a long arm, it would be great to try all these different techniques so that you could really maximize the different things that you can do.
Yeah, so if you are interested in a long arm, definitely take some of our classes because hands-on experience, you can't beat it. Yes, you can demo it at a booth, but like spending some quality time on a machine is a great way of like sort of getting really involved with a particular machine and like get that full hands-on experience, which is what you need to decide, which is helpful when deciding on a big purchase like that.
Yes. Is the All Things Pillow class, is that suitable for a beginner too?
Yeah, it's a very it's a pretty simple class as far as we'll walk you through how to use the robotics. So if you've never used the robotics before, we'll walk you through that. We'll do the step-by-step instructions on how to do that, as well as with free motion. The couching is really forgiving, and that's actually really love doing couching with beginners because it is such a forgiving technique because you don't see the points or the connecting points as much as you do with regular because the yarn is so thick that, if you're a little off or there's a little like wobble or something like that, it's not a big deal. It hides like a multitude of sins with the couching. So I actually think like most people's quilting looks a lot better in the couching. So it's a great way of like kind of breaking the pressure of it, I guess you could say. Like there's kind of like pressure or like you're like, you want it to be perfect, you want it to be really good, and you want it to look like the show quilts, and you have all of these expectations. And it kind of takes some of the pressure off because it's fun.
Yes. Okay.
So like it's a little more fun, I think, which people, and then you enjoy it more, then you want to do it more. And so it's a great way of kind of like breaking
Sounds
the
like a
ice.
win-win.
It is, yeah.
Great. Does anyone
Well,
else have any questions? Go ahead.
I wanted to, if we didn't have any more questions, I just wanted to thank everyone for their time and hope to see you guys in class.
Yeah, thank you very much. And next we'll move on to Colleen Carlson, who is also one of our judges and is teaching a class and has a lecture or two, I think.
Yes, and give me just a moment to get to where I need
Sure.
to go. It takes just a little time to move things around on the screen, and it is not letting me go where I'd like to share. There we go. Now we're going to get there.
Yeah.
And one more click, and we'll be right in the spot where we want to be. I just love the promotional information, all the little fun slides. At any rate, here I am. So I am delighted to come to the Minnesota show and join the faculty. I have been a member of the Minnesota Quilters for many years. I've come to many, many shows. I've had quilts in the shows. I've been a volunteer, and I am more than honored to get the opportunity to co-judge the show this year. So a real joy for me. I have been around a lot, and I did a Zoom for Minnesota Quilters about 2 years ago when they had a last-minute cancellation. I did a talk called Back Talk, so perhaps a few people will remember me from that as well. At any rate, here's just a glimpse of my life. I am a lifelong North Dakotan. I grew up in a very tiny town of Cavalier, just 1,100 people, and I learned to sew in 4-H. And to be perfectly honest, I did not like it very much, and I was not very good at it. And frankly, I don't think my social skills, my small motor skills were ready for the job. So I would rather make a pan of brownies. And I, for many years, did very little sewing. I was a math and science girl. I went off to college. I became a pharmacist, and I've been doing that for 40 plus years. I'm married, and we have 2 grown children. And my life has been very busy, but very joyous. But when in 1999, a girlfriend drugged me into a quilt shop and said, "You have to see this fabric." And I saw a wonky log cabin, and it was crooked. The seams were not straight, and I thought, I can do this. This is my thing. I can make this one. And that's how I got started. And I've really never looked back. I've kept myself very busy with quilting. And I am a certified quilt judge. I have made many kinds of quilts, but at this point in time, I'm making primarily art and modern quilts. And I'm showing off just a little cherrywood challenge, the Abyss Challenge, which I have out circulating. And yesterday, I got to take the Storytime entry that I had to FedEx to ship that one in. So that was pretty exciting as well. At any rate, just to give you a taste of what I have to offer, I have a class on Wednesday afternoon as well as 2 lectures on Thursday. And my class is called Pencil Play. It was developed for QuiltCon 2024, and they were looking for teachers to do modern traditionalism. And so I developed this class as a non-sewing class, no fabric, no UFO. It's just pencil and paper. And what I do is I do a series of mini lectures followed by an activity and work people through creating some original ideas. And I know that seems scary to people. And so I will tell you that the first thing we do is we have some class rules on how this works, because I very much want people to feel comfortable putting that pencil to paper and starting some sketches. So there is no show and tell. No one has to share anything that they sketch. And what I tell people who are the sharers is they can share, but they can't expect anyone else to share back. That's their personal choice whether they want to do that. And I've had a lot of success getting people to get some great designs out of the pencil. Everyone is drawing when we get going, and we start with some very simple ideas to begin with. And you might be wondering, well, what kind of ideas do we really work with? We are using the same elements and principles of design that we see anywhere in the art world. We are just modernizing them a bit. And to give you a glimpse farther down in the class, this is one of the quilts that I talk about in terms of things that have been changed to make it more modern. And that gives us some ideas on things we can work with. Now, when it's time to get ready for the class, the supply list is very simple. I would imagine that most people have most of those items in their house to just throw in a bag and bring. And if you don't have a Sharpie marker, it's just one little thing we do with it on one of the last exercises. And you probably will have a friend after the first couple hours who'd let you use their marker if you didn't have one of those. But very simple list of things to bring to make this work. So that's the class. The first lecture that I have on Thursday is called Color Beyond the Basics. And we know that most color classes talk about these basic relationships on the color wheel. And I will tell you, in my hour of Color Beyond the Basics, we will talk about none of these. We will leave this behind and go on to the next level above of color and talk about how it works. And I'll give you a glimpse of one of my color lessons that I learned. And that was, I have a lot of nieces and nephews. And when they get married, they get a quilt and they get to pick out the kind of thing they would like. They can either select the pattern, although they never do. They always say anything would be fine. So I ask them, tell me something that you like and tell me some colors. So my niece, Katie, told me that she'd spent some time on Pinterest and she really liked quilts with triangles. And then I said, what colors? And she said, oh, I don't want colors, so to speak. I want grays and I want browns. And I have to say, my heart sank. I thought, oh no, what am I going to do with grays and browns? Well, I spent some time doing some research, looking at some designs, and I came up with this one, which I saw, and it was with an ad for Angela's Midnight Quilt Show. And this quilt was actually a quilt for sale on Blueprint, which is no longer around. At any rate, I saw all these triangles. I saw the variety of sizes. I saw that there was a lot of interplay going on, a lot of visual interest by all of the size differences. And so that is what I used to create the wedding quilt. And so my clicker is not wanting me to advance here, but let me try that again. There we go. There's the wedding quilt. There are the grays and the browns. And I will tell you that this quilt taught me a lot of very valuable lessons about evaluating those colors. And also, it has a central part in my Color Beyond the Basics class is to talk about the neutrals. Because it's one of the most asked questions I get in working with colors is then, if we've got this color wheel, where are the neutrals and how do the neutrals work with what we've got? And so that's one of many topics. And we also will talk about fabric selection and how our fabric selections in terms of intensity, saturation, value can play into how we can make color take on special effects within quilts. So that's my first lecture on Thursday. And my second lecture on Thursday is called Accept the Challenge. So it's all about quilt competitions, whether they be a contest that has prizes or simply an entry that creates an exhibit for a sponsor. There are many kinds and many different sets of rules. In some of them, the rules are more important than the other kinds, and I'm going to go through those kinds of things. One example of a very simple challenge, just a piece of fabric, use it in a log cabin, any style you want. And then you can get up into the larger organizations like MQG, doing challenges with many rules and many prizes as well, and often a juried situation and getting quilts in. I also will feature a quilt of my own, one of the early challenges I ever made. And I entered it in the Minnesota Quilters, probably close to 20 years ago. And I'm going to show you the winner right now. This was the winner, and St. Cloud was the host of the show this particular year. They wanted their entries to feature either the fact that St. Cloud was Granite City or that it was the home of the Munsinger Gardens. And of course, this one is depicting the beautiful gardens. And I didn't do the gardens. I went with the Granite City idea. And I'm not going to reveal what my challenge looked like, but I will share the terrible decisions I made in selecting how I would approach that for the show. And it's all in fun and all to learn from each other and what we do. I also do have a series of tips for approaching a challenge, ways to kind of break it down a bit and think about the sponsor's role and all of those kinds of things as well. So here is a slide that has my Instagram. I am RX Quilt. Because if you have a really common name like Carlson, you have to come up with something because otherwise there's already so many of us. I do have a website as well. You can get there from Instagram or just straight going on to that. If you are part of another guild that looks for Zoom educators, I currently have 9 Zoom lectures that I do for guilds across the country, and it has been really an exciting format for me to get to share. Sometimes living in North Dakota has its drawbacks when it gets to getting around the country with any great speed. At any rate, that's what I have for you, and I will let them ask if there's any questions. And in the meantime, I will attempt to unshare so that we're ready for the next speaker. There we go.
Thanks so much, Colleen.
Mhm.
I
don't have a
see any
question, but
questions.
I have a comment. We've actually got story time from Cherrywood coming to the show this year. So
Yeah.
we will be excited to see whether you're in the section that comes or not.
Well,
Mhm.
I can tell you that it's not in the section that's coming.
Ah,
Mine was named a semifinalist. So mine is shipped in for photography and will be in the book and the digital, but it will not be traveling. So I know that Storytime will not be at Minnesota, but there will be some gorgeous quilts that are.
yes, we're excited to see what gets into the exhibition this year. And actually, we're having our own exhibition as well for Cherrywood, which is pieces that didn't make the final cut. So there'll be our own Cherrywood exhibition too, which will be fun to see because there's a lot of stuff that's really good but never gets to make the main exhibition.
Yes, that's a wonderful idea, especially being a Minnesota-based company. What a great thing to feature at our show. So,
Okay. If there aren't any questions, I think we'll move on to Joe. I'm going to try and say your last name, Joe, and I apologize. Joe Muehlbauer.
That'll work. That works.
Okay.
Well, I am going to be giving a class in called No Glue Raw Edge Applique at the show. And I do live in St. Cloud, Minnesota. And I will tell you right now, my internet connection is kind of in and out. So if I suddenly freeze up, that's why. It's probably the snow. Who knows? But anyway, so one of the things that we're going to be doing, well, actually, I'll start here. This technique, when you're doing raw edge applique, it probably takes out about half of the time to do your piece because you're not gluing, you're not ironing, and you're not transferring your design to fabric and then cutting it out and then applying it. You are just going from the design to the machine. So it keeps it kind of fast. So this is one of the pieces that I've done with this design or with this technique. And what's fun is that you can use silk, upholstery material is in that piece. There is wool, there's anything and everything, because you're not applying glue, so you can use any material in your project, which is really nice because you don't have to worry about settings on iron. It's an all-day class, and yeah, it should be pretty fun, and you'll learn something new. I have not seen this technique before used a whole lot, if any, so it's something new, and it's like magic. You got to kind of think upside down and backwards, and it is all free motion quilting. So keep that in mind. But it's fine. It's very doable.
Is there a pattern you're going to be making in particular?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
We're all going to be doing the same thing. We're all going to be using the same pattern. And the pattern that I have is going to be available. So there'll be a kit available also with everything that you need. I would suggest getting the kit because it'll have the pattern, the stabilizer, and all the fabric, everything you need. So you don't have to think about anything. So I would suggest utilizing that. But yes, we'll all be doing the same pattern.
Okay. And the machine will be provided too, so just show up for class.
Excellent. That's right. That makes it even better. So the only prerequisite is that you know how to do free motion quilting is about it. And that you know it and you're comfortable doing it, because that's pretty much all that you'll be doing.
Okay.
But you won't be ironing.
What type of machine is going to be in the classroom?
Yes.
What type of machine is going to be?
Bernina. I think
it's going to be the Bernina room.
Thank you.
But yeah, if you want to learn something brand new, which is pretty awesome, come to my class and you'll kind of blow your mind. One nice thing is that with this, you go from a drawing to quilting. Okay. And so this I drew one afternoon and I quilted it, created it. It took me maybe like 5 hours to do the whole thing from start to finish. So it's it's pretty doable. And I really like this piece. Very swirly shirly. Yeah, it's kind of fun. Are there any other questions?
I don't think so. I don't see anything in the chat. Well, it looks like a fun class.
It will be. It will be.
Great.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And next up is, and I got this right, Jaymi Horne will be telling us about all the classes she's bringing to us.
Hi. Yeah. I am, first of all, I'm in a stable location now. I was in a car before this.
Good.
Racing to make it, but I made it. So I'm on solid ground at this point. Thank you. I'm Jaymi Horne. I'm Cranky Kangaroo on social media. I live in Indiana, but this is what I do full time. I actually travel and teach and I go all over and I absolutely love it. So this is my first time to the Minnesota Quilt Show and I'm really looking forward to it. I have 6 classes and some of them are lectures, so a combination of classes and lectures. The first one is quilted sneakers, and this is one of my most popular classes because I come from a production sewing background. So everything I do, I find a cheat method, a hack, a quicker way to do it, an easier way to do it. So we're going to make sneakers, but we're not spending money on those really expensive soles. They're like $60 and we're not doing that. We're going to use dollar store materials to make wearable, very comfortable shoes, laces and all. These are my Mary Jane version, and this is what I wear everywhere. I wear these to shows and I wear them during the show and they're very comfortable. So it's a blast. It's a lot of fun. It's a full day class. It's very appropriate for even beginners. We're going to start with the fabric and quilt the fabric and then work through the whole process together. It's a really fun class and you will leave with almost finished shoes. Some people finish, but if you don't, you definitely only have a little bit left to do at home to finish up. So it's a lot of fun. I have an electric quilt class. So this isn't a sewing class. This is more like a designing class. So if you have electric quilt, maybe you've used it and you want to kind of step up your skill level with electric quilt. So we use EQ8 on our computers, on our laptops, and the actual class is designing patterns from your photo. So if you have a photo of your pet, of a person, something that you want to turn into a foundation paper pieced quilt, we're going to work through the process. In class, we're going to all work on the same photo, just so that we're on the same page and you can kind of learn the technique. But it's absolutely transferable over to your photo. It's customizable. And so what you learn in class, you'll take home and you'll be able to make patterns from your photos. So that's Thursday, full day. Friday morning is this class. This is my pattern. It's called Sunset Glow. And I originally designed it as a rainbow kind of a gradation, but it totally works well with any fabrics. I really like it for large prints because sometimes we have large, bold florals or something really bold that we don't want to cut into tiny pieces. So this is a really nice way to showcase them. This is also a very friendly beginner beginner friendly class because we will even cut in class because again with my production sewing background I like to show some tips and tricks for cutting. So a lot of times an absolutely new quilter will take this class and get a lot out of it. And then I have Friday afternoon, I have a lecture on designing your own pattern, but this time it's in foundation paper piecing. So if you have done some foundation paper piecing, this is a really good lecture for you because it gives you the next skill level to design your own patterns. We're going to work through it. It's again without sewing machines, but we'll work through the concept and the rules of designing a pattern for foundation paper piecing. It's good for anybody that has a basic idea of foundation paper piecing, but I have found that even those that don't still get something out of it. So that's a fun lecture. And then Saturday morning, this is the class Saturday morning. It's a foundation paper pieced block. This is a retriever and it's available as a kit in multiple different colors. So you can use, you can do a chocolate lab, a golden retriever, or the cream retriever. And this is also good for beginners because we start from the very beginning of foundation paper piecing and assume that you've never done it before because I have a special technique that's super lazy that is really good for beginners, but really anybody, even if you've tried foundation paper piecing, oftentimes people get frustrated maybe. And so my goal is to get you past the frustration. Let's just start over, learn a technique that might click for you. And then Saturday afternoon, I have a vinyl notebook class. So if you've never worked with vinyls, we're going to work with vinyl and you'll learn some tips and things for working with vinyl. We're going to do a large version. This is a cute little mini version. Same idea, also vinyl. And we'll have lots of cute little things to choose from. But you'll kind of learn how to work with vinyl, how to get past the stickiness of it sometimes, and how to problem solve our common problems with vinyl. But it's just a really fun class for making something practical. Also good for beginners. I am actually currently in Atlanta at a show. I'm going next week to record an episode of the Quilt Show with Ricky Timms and Alexanderson. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm excited about this year. It's going to be an amazing year. And I can't wait to see y'all in Minnesota.
Yeah, we're very excited to have you. Great.
Thank you.
Sounds like you've got lots of good classes. And I don't know, are there any questions? Please unmute yourself, folks, and feel free to ask anything.
I've got a question. It sounds like I'm Alex, the show director. It sounds like a few of your projects, your classes will actually have quite a close to completed project at the end of them. The quilt that's behind you, how far would you expect people to get with that in the session that you have?
We really only focus on one corner. So we get a lot of the cutting done and then we'll focus on getting one corner done because it's a special technique because it's on the bias, it's on point. So they won't finish this one in class, but they'll get a really good go and they'll kind of get this assembly line technique going so that they can finish it easily at home. And then a lot of the cutting is done at that point. So they won't finish it, but we're going to get a good start so that they really get the technique down pat.
Right,
So
so
like
a lot
the
of the
shoes,
laborious.
Yeah.
laborious bits out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. And then they can run with it. Yeah. And then like the shoes, like I said, a lot of people get most of their shoes completed. The retriever block, you will not finish it, and that's okay. It's not meant to be finished in class. The notebook will absolutely be finished in class. And then the others are lectures that don't really have a project. They're more
Yeah.
about the technique.
Mm-hmm. The quilt behind you, is that a kit or do folks just bring their own fabric?
They can bring their own fabric. I think we have an optional kit, actually. Let me double check.
Yes, I think we did offer the option for
Yeah.
the kits.
So
Okay.
if they want to bring their own fabric, they absolutely can, and that's in the supply list. It's really just 6 different colors. It can be a rainbow. It doesn't have to be a rainbow. It can be random. And then if they want to purchase a kit, I usually have a variety of kits available. So they might be florals, they might be Charlie Harper's, they might be batiks. So I just kind of bring a variety for them to choose from if they want to do the optional kit.
Oh, great. Okay. And the EQ8 class, they need to bring their own computer with the
Yeah,
software
that
installed.
requires laptop with EQ8 installed. Yeah.
Mhm.
How much experience do you have to have with the EQ8 to do your class?
I'd say you need to be fairly comfortable with it. You don't have to know anything special. You don't have to, be a pro. You don't have to even have put out a pattern, but I would say comfortable. Know your basic buttons. And I would also say know the fundamentals of foundation paper piecing. Be comfortable with foundation paper piecing because we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of it.
Okay, you mean having done foundation paper piecing before?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think that's all I have right now.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, Jaymi. Glad you made it. We aren't listening to you in the car. That would be dangerous.
I wasn't driving, just to be clear.
Okay. Well, I think that's it. And if anybody has any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask away. We had quite a good gathering tonight, so that's always positive.
Of course, we'll be back tomorrow night as well, Liz, won't we? Who have we
Yes,
got?
we will.
Who have we got in our lineup for tomorrow? Just so people know what to
Oh, you would
expect
ask me
tomorrow
that.
evening.
I'm going to have
Yeah.
to switch to my other computer here for a minute and look for the schedule.
Oh, you know how I
Wednesday, we
keep
have
you on your
Rose
toes.
Allen, Lori Adamits, Dion Stott, Chaiki O'Brien, and Linda Johnson-Morg.
Excellent. So we'll be hearing not only about quilting, but also there's some felting and some weaving in there as well.
Exactly. And then on Thursday, we'll have Cindy Loback, Eileen Bartos, and Gwen Hanvey. And that will wrap things up.
Julia's got a question there. Are we going to hear from Miriam? That was presented today.
I missed it. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. She went right after you, Julia.
Oh, forgive me. I must have stepped away.
You must have, but you'll be able to watch it again.
I can't wait. I'm going to look it up on YouTube. Sorry, Miriam.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't think it'll be there tomorrow, but it should be by next week.
She was doing all the long arming. Sorry, I'm coming across as very loopy. Sorry.
That's okay. All right. Well, I think if that's it, I'm going to turn off the recording, and thank you all very much for taking time out of your busy schedules to come here and promote your classes. And we really look forward to having you.
And hopefully see a lot of you back tomorrow evening.
Yes.
Good
Bye,
night.
guys. Thanks a
Good
lot.
night.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for having us.